Protesters, in typical fashion, began heckling Representative Colonel West, but the congressman, he wasn't fazed.
I just want to tell you that you're not going to intimidate me.
Now, that did not stop disrespectful liberals in the crowd. One who is reportedly a former Air America host was taken into police custody.
Nicole Sandler.
We're leaving. We're leaving.
I'm talking to the media. Can I get your name and badge number, please? Excuse me.
Whatever you need to do. You need to leave.
I'm out of here. Get your hand off of me!
Do not leave.
Get your hand off! Get your hand off of me!
You're under arrest.
Pretty funny. Joining me with the reaction, the man himself from the great state of Florida, the Sunshine State, Colonel Allen West. Congressman, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Sean. How are you this evening?
We're doing well. Well, it seems like that we got a little liberal astroturfing going on because this is happening to Paul Ryan and conservatives like yourself. I watched the entire tape, and I thought you handled it perfectly. What did you think?
Well, I suppose I did very well. I think the most important thing was I was not going to allow them to dominate the dialogue or take over our town hall meeting. And as I told them, I'm not the type of guy that's going to be intimidated, and I stand on facts and the truth, and that's what we're going to take to the people down here in Congressional District 22.
You know, look, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I don't know who this, I'm in talk radio for 20-some-odd years. I don't even know who this person is, never heard of him. But obviously wanted to provoke some type of action. The police were very polite, said leave, didn't leave, got arrested. That's what happens. All right, well, let's go to an interview. This is Nancy Pelosi talking about people that showed up at town halls, Tea Party members. Here's what she said about them.
This initiative is funded by the high end. We call it AstroTurf. It's not really a grassroots movement. It's AstroTurf by some of the wealthiest people of America to keep the focus on tax cuts for the rich instead of for the great middle class.
All right, just a silly interpretation, just like I would assume this is one individual or there's a series of individuals that want to make a statement. What is your, how should people that disagree with congressmen, congresswomen at town halls, how do you think they should be going about asking their questions?
Well, I think that you have a process in place. For instance, with town hall meetings, you're able to fill out a question card, and I address you by your name and, of course, the city that you're from. But the thing is, when you have websites that are up down here in South Florida that are kind of guiding people on how to go in and be an antagonist in our town hall meetings and to try to incite some type of reaction so that they can get a YouTube moment, you just got to be above that, and you got to be the one that's in control and not allow them to take over the town hall meeting. And I think that's what we were effective in doing.
Let me ask, are you happy with the 2011 budget deal, and what will it take to get you to vote for an increase in the debt ceiling?
Well, it's very simple. If we're going to talk about raising the debt ceiling, there are four very important spending control measures, as I call it. They have to be put in place. We've got to have a balanced budget amendment. We've got to cap federal government spending, I think, at 20%. That's historically where we should be. Right now, we're at 25% of our GDP, and it's going to grow. I think you have to look at our corporate business tax rate. Which is 35%. We need to bring it down to 20 to 22%, take away all the loopholes and subsidies, but incentivize and encourage our businesses and corporations to come back to America and invest in Americans and hiring them. But the last and most important condition I think we need to have is a trigger control mechanism so that when you reach a certain percentage of the debt ceiling, there are automatic spending cuts that come in, because we don't need to keep doing this thing about raising the debt ceiling ever again.
Yeah. I understand that you spent some time recently with Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, he showed up at a Tea Party event that we had here in Boca Raton. I gave a speech. I kind of took the president to task on that speech that he gave, his Mulligan budget at George Washington University, and then I was followed up by Mr. Trump.
Now, you were asked if you would join the ticket if asked with Mr. Trump, and your answer, you kind of left it wide open. There are some people that would like you to run for higher office one day. Would you consider that? And would you run with Donald Trump?
Well, Well, I think the most important thing is this. We worked very hard to win this congressional election in 2010. And the most important thing I need to do is prove myself as a capable legislator and an American statesman and win a re-election in 2012. If God has something decided for me going down the road, I will always seek to continue my service to this great nation. But right now, I'm focused on being the best possible congressman I can be for the people in CD 22.
And if Donald Trump or anybody else asks you to run with them, your answer?
I think they got to go to the constituents and ask them if they're willing to let me out of the oath that I took to be their congressman first and foremost before I would ever say, yeah.
And if the consensus was yes, then you'd consider it. Then you'd say yes.
Then I would consider it possibly if the constituents here in CD 22 thought that as a possibility. But right now I'm focused on one thing, and that's to rectify the economic morass in which we find our country.
Thank you, Congressman. Appreciate it. I thought you handled that perfectly.
Thanks for having me, Sean.
Let not your heart be troubled. Our great, great, great American panel is next.